Listen to my podcast about sports, about sports, about sports.
Howdy, Ags. Welcome to the tailgate. Joining us today, Mr. Philip Rosser back on the pod. What's up, brother?
What's up, Alejo? Heard you were in Mexico. How was that?
Well, I had to take a week off the pod to go to Mexico, unfortunately, leaving the Aggie faithful and fans all waiting for our next episode. But it was good. Got a little fishing time in, got some golf in. It doesn't hurt to be on the beach for a week. You know what I mean?
Oh, I bet. I was over here just, working away while you're just having fun in the sun, my friend. Having
Hey,
some
brother. I think you got an invite.
I did. Unfortunately, I was not able to go. Um, but I'll tell you a story. I had to go to Austin this morning and just got back. So just got back. Have an office over there. Last week, we were having a conference call and there was a lot of people talking about UT and how awesome they were. I got to the office today. You know how many people brought up the Texas game?
I'm guessing not a lot.
Zero. Never talked about college football the whole time I was there today.
You should
So
have brought
that
up
was
you
pretty
should have brought
impressive.
up the Aggies, baby. Should have brought up the Aggies in Austin. Let them know.
I figured I'd just let it lie down until later, and then I'll bring it up.
Put
And
our,
at
put
least,
our put our head down and keep working.
yep, yep.
Today's episode is brought to you by Matthews Electric. Light up your home, light up your life, baby. Give Blaine a call. Uh, we're gonna jump right into this deal, Phil. Aggies now 6-1, 4-0 in the SEC. They've won six straight since their opening day loss to Notre Dame. They're number one in the SEC right now in the standings. LSU, who is now number two at 3-0, is who we face this weekend, and we'll talk about LSU here in a little bit. Five teams with one loss in the conference. So there's a lot of football, exciting football to be played over the next few weeks. The SEC is turning out to be ridiculous. When you just mentioned the Texas Georgia situation, with Texas getting their butts whooped by Georgia in spite of the fact that Beck threw like three interceptions or something like that, right?
Yep.
Offensively, Texas couldn't do anything. Um, but there's a lot going on in this SEC, and every week you just don't know. Every week you just don't know. Tennessee goes and beats Alabama, right? Like one week
Hmm.
Arkansas comes out and beats Tennessee. LSU, who we're going to talk about more, goes and beats Ole Miss, who's everybody's got as a national championship contender. And so
Fraudulent.
Vanderbilt coming out and showing out. You know,
Man,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
so much fun to watch. That's
It,
so much.
and it doesn't matter what week it is, right? Hell, Texas has got to go contend with Vanderbilt this week. You know, that's not a gimme.
No, and I mean, I know we'll probably get to the game, but like our problem, I don't know if Mississippi State's the worst, but they're close. I mean, it's arguable whether them or Oklahoma are the worst in the SEC, and nobody wants to play them right now.
Yeah, nobody wants to play them. And so let's move to Mississippi State, who, the Aggies come out with a win, 34-24 at Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville. Starkville, who some people call Stark Vegas, apparently.
Oh yeah,
A place that we still haven't made a road trip to, but we probably should.
yeah. I think we should. I really think we should.
But
We've been to
this is
Oxford.
a
Oxford was
big
cool.
win on the road in the SEC. I know they're 1-6, and people are going to discount it. And some Aggie fans are out there complaining about the fact that this wasn't just an absolute drubbing. We understand all those things. This team is getting better, and by this team I mean Mississippi State. They played Georgia tough, 10-point game just a week ago, right? It's not like they're sitting here and just getting absolutely obliterated, and they've gotten better as the season's gone along. The little freshman quarterback, Van Buren, by the way, is a kid that kind of excites you, isn't he?
Oh yeah, man. I think he's going to be great. I think Levy's going to do some fun things with Mississippi State over the next few years. I think if you're a Mississippi State fan, you're not happy about being 1-6, but if you use the eye test, one, they're fighting, they're giving people a fight, and there's a lot to be excited about, even though obviously this season's not going to turn out the way you would want. I've never enjoyed or been so proud of a team that's 1-6, but this team shows fight.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's a big credit to Levy, who obviously in his first season, look, he's taken over for the worst coach in college football in Zach Arnett, right? That dude may have been the worst coach in the history of college football last year at Mississippi State. How bad they tore that team up from the year before. I mean, and deservedly is gone, right? Not to mention a defensive-minded head coach, complete transition into a brand new system with Levy and what he's doing. I mean, it's an uphill battle, but you're absolutely right. He's getting those players to play hard, and that is battle number one, right?
Absolutely. And Van Buren's going to be good.
Van Buren's going to be good if he sticks around over there. I think that they're at least going to be able to put up some points. Super impressed with the way that he's able to create plays, more time, right? That the Aggie defensive line has been phenomenal all year. They played really well on Saturday and still didn't get to him as much as some people would have wanted to, because of the fact that that dude was just sort of wiggling out of things and creating space and time with his legs, man. And I am excited to watch him play for the next couple of years. This team, though, Mississippi State, and I don't want to make this all about Mississippi State. We're going to get here to the Aggies, right? But it is a team that hung with TU for a half, right? They played very tough against Georgia. We talked about 41-31, right? That game against Texas, Van Buren's first start, by the way, as a freshman. He's a freshman. You know what I mean? So there's a lot going on there. And as you look at it, you can continue to see how this team is getting better. And so when Aggie fans are sitting here evaluating this game from Saturday, you got to be excited. Don't be disappointed. You got to be excited about this win. I think it's still a big win. It's on the road against a team that's getting better. And you went out there, and in spite of not playing your best game, your best football, you won handily, right? The game was not in question at the end. It was a slow start in the first half. The game was not in question at the end, right?
I think the only concern you would have is if A&M plays like that against LSU, that slow of a start and some of the mistakes by Connor, this turns out with a different score and us on the wrong side of that score. So while I'm not disappointed in the win, there were some disappointing things to watch in certain series and plays. If you look at how Mississippi State started against our defense, I was like, what in the world? Where's our defense?
Yeah, so
right?
let's start with the Aggie defense. Let's start with the Aggie defense. That's a great point. And we'll get to Connor and this offense here in a bit. But defensively, in the first half, this defense gives up 3 long drives, 2 for touchdowns, 1 for field goal, 92 yards to start the game off, 69 yards for a field goal, and then 75 yards for another touchdown in the first half. That's all in the first half. I don't know that they came out with the expectation of Mississippi State coming out and running the football like they did. And I thought they were playing a little loose, a little backed off, trying to do some more cute things in the back, thinking that this is going to be throw sort of situation. And Levy came out running the football. And in the first half, they were able to run the football successfully and leading to, like I said, 3 long drives in the first half for scores.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, especially the first half, they ran the ball better than we did, which really for the whole game, I mean, fairly even. I think we edged them out a little bit on rushing yards. Yeah, that was a little concerning. I feel like we did tighten up. I think we made some adjustments, but you get to a really good team, it's too late. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they have if they had a good defense that was stopping us, we're in trouble against LSU if they can do that to us.
Yeah, look, you cannot come out soft against the run like that at the beginning of a game. You can't do it. As always, we talk about, I always like to go back to the coaching side of things. And, the one thing I will give that coaching staff credit for is they adjusted, right? They made that adjustment and they made it, it took them a little bit to get going there, but they made that adjustment. In the second half, they really shut the Mississippi State down. Right. The second half was a completely different story defensively. And against the run, right? Even against the run, they were able to shut down the run and really start doing some things there. So I'll give them credit for those adjustments. Hopefully it's also a warning for those coaches that they can't come out with a soft defense up front. You can't assume that a team's just going to throw the ball over the yard on you. You got to still take away that run first, right?
Yeah, because what do you always say? The run opens up what?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah,
everything. Look, and let's talk about a few of these players that have come out and look. Scorton has been the best defensive player on this team, if you ask me, over the year. And he was still had a decent game, but he was sick, and you could tell he wasn't at his normal self, right? It was clear and evident by the product on the field he wasn't his normal self. And yet he was still pretty good. He was still pretty good when he was on the field.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. He's the guy. He's a dude.
He's going to be an early first-round draft pick, if you ask me. The great part about it is that the depth on this defense, especially on this defensive line, makes up for the day in which he's not at his best, right? You talked about Cassius Howell earlier, right? When we were off screen.
Yeah.
Cassius Howell has been really good throughout the year. Man, he showed up on Saturday, right? Got a lot of time out there, made some plays in the passing game, made some plays in the run game. I mean, he was consistent and making plays. I really enjoyed watching him play on Saturday, and I thought he made a huge impact.
Yeah, I don't know how many tackles he had, but it seemed like he was all over the field in the plays. He was heavily involved and just seemed like he had it that day.
Yeah, and I want to mention a couple of other guys up front. I thought Turner had a really nice game. He's when he's in there in the middle of that defense, him and Regis really both had really good games on the interior. Mm-hmm. Especially once they got going in the second half. I mean, just really doing a really good job against the run and those things. Stewart had a nice game. He had a little bit of an injury issue there at the end. It sounds like he's going to be okay. But
yes, like him, and they said Scorton's he was cramping from being sick and not getting proper nutrition and being a little not enough liquids, I guess.
Yeah, he was under the weather. And so you don't expect for any of those guys, hopefully, to have any issues going forward. You expect them all to be back this week and playing full go. So that's the positive.
We're going to need them.
Yeah, because we're going to need them.
Yeah.
But we've known that the strength of this defense is the defensive line. Look, and we can talk secondary. I thought Brooks had a really nice day in the secondary. I thought Ratcliffe made some really nice plays out there. We've talked over and over about the impact of Lee since he's gotten here. He's just been phenomenal. I want to talk about the linebackers because I think that Scooby Williams has really started to step up his game. Boy, you start watching him, and where early in the season he was very hesitant at times, slow to react, not getting to where he needs to be. Boy, you start seeing him now, and he's gotten a lot of playing time over the year. Boy, he is starting to move, and he is triggering. And that dude is the athletic linebacker that you're looking for at that weak side linebacker spot to get sideline to sideline. And I've been impressed. I've been impressed with what he's been doing the last couple of weeks. And this past week has been his best one yet. Don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think for him, just through his high school career and things like that, that wasn't his natural position. That wasn't, I shouldn't say not natural. That wasn't where he played a lot of his time in high school and growing up. And you can tell he's starting to really get it. He said he thinks he should be a receiver.
Look, the dude is athletic, man. He is athletic. There's no question about that. All
Yeah.
right. The dude is athletic. And I don't know if he should be a receiver, but
Me either.
but his play is getting better and better. And I'm excited to see how that continues to develop. I don't know that the second level, that linebacker level, is a weakness on this defense anymore. With him in York, and you're getting good play from Sanford as well. With those guys in the rotation that they're able to give you, that group of linebackers is starting to become an equal part of this defense. I'm not going to say it's equal to the defensive line, but definitely at the secondary in that linebacker group. I wouldn't give any one of those two groups an advantage.
I would like to have one or two more dudes, like depth wise there, but I think we're developing some people there, and they definitely improved. I mean, this whole team, has improved over the season. But yeah, I mean, that was my biggest worry coming in, is like our linebackers, we may be in trouble, and they've done well. It helps that we have a great defensive line. I think that kind of supports them. It takes a little pressure off them. They know that the guys in front of them are going to do their job, so they can just focus on doing their own job, right? So, yeah.
We talked about Regis. That's one of those things there, and Turner, right? They occupy blockers so much that those linebackers are able to flow and get to the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Incredible progress that they've made this year. I also thought York had one of his better games on Saturday. I thought he played pretty well. I just have been impressed. And we hadn't talked about the Shields, who's a guy that, a lot of people thought would get into the rotation. And linebacker's been now playing a lot more special teams because of the progress of a Scooby, because of the progress of a Sanford, right? Those two guys have sort of taken those snaps away from the Shields, who transferred in with the expectations that he was going to be a participant in that process.
Yeah, I think if I may be mistaken, but I think Elko named him Special Teams Player of the Week, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a couple of guys that we haven't talked about a lot this year in the secondary. And actually, one of them I have talked about at times, and that's Ricks. And I think Ricks early in the season was sort of one of our weak links out of corner. And the more I watch him the last couple of games, man, the more reps he gets, the better he's getting, especially in coverage.
I agree. I think sometimes he can be a little wild card out there. So I'm always worried of really like penalties and some like over pursuit sometimes, things like that. But you can tell he's got the talent and he's getting better. Right. So I still I guess I get, so used to the Scortons and the Turners and Stewarts. Like, I know they're just going to go out there and do their job and be professional about it. And Rick's, sometimes I'm like, where are you going, buddy? Right. So, but that's improved over time. And he's shown out at times. So there's a lot to be excited about there.
And that's exactly the point right there because, this is a guy that was a 5-star coming from Alabama, as a transfer. He's a freshman, right? He didn't play last year at Alabama. He didn't get any snaps there. This is his first real time on the field in the SEC, and so maybe our expectations were a little off right at the beginning of the season saying, oh, this guy's really struggling. It's like, well, it's the first opportunity to play, right? And you can see him getting better and better. He's still not the most physical guy out there, right? But you can definitely tell how much he's improved over the season, especially in the coverage side of things. And I do think, like you said, he's going to continue to get better the more playing time he gets, and just going to be a strength for this defense going forward.
Yeah, and he's got to play. I mean,
yeah, and look, he, when you compare him to a guy like Chappelle, but Chappelle was a 4-year starter, right? And that dude's physical and big time player at that level, so you can't do that. And, speaking of Chappelle, with him out, one of the positions that we're trying to figure out exactly is that nickel spot. And the other guy I wanted to talk about is BJ Mays. And, the last couple of games, you can see him getting a lot more reps out there and starting to make some plays. And he's a step up in coverage from Hill, who had been playing the majority of the snaps there, right? And he's a better cover guy than Hill. So in situations on third downs and things like that, he's getting those snaps. And I think he's making a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, especially on the coverage side. So, I mean, they've asked him to go out there and do that, and he seems to be up for the challenge and doing well. So, as a defense, your whole goal is to get the offense to third and long. And what do they do on third and long, right? So you need some guys out there that can cover, right? And so he's done that, and I'm impressed with his progress.
Yeah, and look, there, by no means and we talked about it earlier, right? But this defense hasn't been perfect, but you can see how it's coming together. It's getting better. This wasn't their best game by any means, but they got to start. They got to put together the things that they've learned, and now this coming week, and we're gonna, like I said, we'll talk about LSU here in a second. This coming week is going to be their biggest test of the year, and so we'll see exactly where this defense stands just on Saturday, right? Moving to the Aggie offense, look, this was a day in which things didn't come easy for this Aggie offense. This was a day in which the running game did not, sort of explode like it has the last few weeks. This is a game where, Moss was averaging 4 yards a carry, not 6-7. Daniels was averaging 4 yards a carry, not 6-7, right? The running game was hard to come by. The long runs that they did break got brought back because of penalty, right? Some inopportune penalties at times that really made the difference in the running game because they didn't have that big explosive one. I still thought and I want to start with the offensive line. I still thought the O-line actually played pretty well. I thought that they gave Connor time. I thought that they did some good things up front. I've been all year super impressed with the progress this group has made. I don't think anybody expected this offensive line to play as well as they have this year, led by a guy in Trey Zune at left tackle who is making a name for himself in the SEC.
Yeah, I think, you look at offensive line, and even if you look at stats, like they're not sacking us much. You know what I mean? I don't see them getting pressure a lot. I do question this just this week. Like, did we take a step back on the offensive line on rushes? I don't know, but they've protected Connor really well. I'll get to Connor in a little bit, but I think they've given him clean pockets. They've let him have time to find an open receiver, and they've done good. Let me ask you this. So, and I don't know what the status of Basantis is, but it seems like it's not good.
Yeah, look, that's a tough one, right? He's probably been our best interior offensive lineman, and that interior has been already been shifting around all season long because of the injuries, right? The injuries at center with TJ Shanahan and with Nabu, right? Nabu. And, Reed Adams has been in and out of the lineup several times, right? So they've had to sort of adjust and play around on the inside. The tackles have been healthy throughout the season, thank goodness. But on the inside, they haven't. Besantis had sort of been that rock there that, had been stable and everything else. And he's not perfect by any means. He's only a sophomore, but every once in a while he gets over aggressive. His problem is sometimes a little bit over aggressive, right? And comes off.
I'd rather that, man. I'd rather that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, like if I'm a running back, which I'm not because I'm slow and old, that's the guy I want to run behind. Because
Yeah.
I mean, he gets off the line, he's aggressive, and I mean, just the overall effort seems
powerful.
Like he seems like he's so confident in what he's doing now that he can go full speed. I think sometimes last year it seemed like he just didn't know where to go, and now he knows it. He's confident on the game plan and where he's supposed to be.
Yeah,
and it goes up. And so, man,
and
I really hope he gets
the fact that him and Trey have become an excellent pair on the left side, right? They're learning to work together coming up into this game, right? You could tell that the double teams, the different things that they were doing, passing off the different blitzes and all those types of things, getting better and better. And so, to your point, what's the health status with Besantis, right? And right now we don't know. He will be missed. Once again, one of the good things is that some of the other guys, TJ Shanahan's back, right? Healthy. And so with Shanahan and Dewberry, you do have some depth on the interior and guys that have gotten snaps because of the injuries earlier in the season, that at least you're not throwing a freshman out there that's going to have to take up the slack, right?
Yeah, and I think when you talked about tackles and Crownover has been a good piece to this puzzle.
Yeah, Crownover and Fatherly rotating on the right side have both been effective. They've both been really good. I think we've seen the best of Fatherly from the last couple of years. I mean, last 2 years he's really struggled at times, and I think you're seeing what good coaching does for a guy like that. And I'm excited to see how he continues to develop and keeps growing into that position. But it's been the thing all year with this offensive line. Next man up, right? And 2 years ago, Cam Dewberry as a freshman, we thought he played excellent. Almost like our offensive line coach hadn't had a chance to screw him up, right? and the longer he was here, the worse he got. Until now. And now I think he gets the opportunity to get back on the field if Besantis isn't there. He's been getting reps anyway in the rotation, so it's encouraging that we have, for a team that had a horrible offensive line with no depth the last couple of years under Jimbo, to come in and it's basically the same guys, add a couple pieces here and there, but, basically the same guys. And surprise, surprise, they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's a testament to that the O-line coach, right? And yeah, we added a few people, but which helped. Don't get me wrong, but while I'm a little worried as the schedule's going to get tougher from here, right? That does worry me, but last year I'd have been like, oh God, Connor's going to get eaten alive by LSU, and I'm a little more confident in what our offensive line can do. I mean, are they going to be able to protect it as well as they did against Mississippi State? I don't think so. Who's right now, let me ask you this, since we're still on defense, and I'm just jumping ahead.
On the offense.
We are on the offense. We already talked about defense. Never mind, then I'll wait till we get to the LSU game.
We're going to get to LSU here in a second. So So let's circle back, right? We talked offensive line. Look, the running game was a struggle the whole time. Moss broke a couple but got brought back, for penalties. It was just – but at the end of the day, the physicality of that run in the second half still did come out and show, right? It still showed that that Mississippi State defense was taken, by the fourth quarter wasn't the same, right? And that is really the identity of this offensive football team. Connor, we're gonna now it's time. Let's talk Connor.
Okay. All right.
Because here's the thing, right? When our first game of the year, we come out against Notre Dame. We should have beat Notre Dame, except for the fact that Connor has the worst game he's ever played as an Aggie. Either that one or Auburn, one of the two, right? And he throws it to the other side. He looks horrible. Everybody says, well, Notre Dame's defense is just that good. I'm not sure that that's right. He had a bad day.
Yep.
He comes back against Missouri and absolutely blows up. But on Saturday, another 2 picks. And there was probably 2, at least 2, maybe 3 balls that should have been picked off right in the hands of defenders, right?
Yeah. I mean, let's just say it's 2 more. We're in a dogfight at that point.
Yeah.
And that kind of, that's kind of the offensive line was giving him time. That's the thing is it's not like he didn't have time. He didn't have time to go through his progressions, through his reads. I thought they protected him well. So you wouldn't expect that kind of play from Connor. I'm not, I'm not down on Connor.
No.
He did not have a great game. And I don't know what he was seeing on some of those throws. I don't know if the passing lanes were kind of off on, to his eye or something. And he was trying to, I don't know, but some of those throws they weren't good. They weren't good.
And I have to imagine, your boy over at Missouri, old Drink, came out and said, look, we didn't prepare for Connor. We prepared for Marcel, right? Idiot, first.
That's my
Idiot.
boy?
Idiot.
Drink's my boy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I guess what I'm wondering right now is if they had come out and prepared for Connor and done things differently, where right now Connor isn't pushing the ball down the field that much. He hasn't been incredibly aggressive to create space vertically. If that's the case, then is that a recipe, right? And does Klein have to adjust what he's doing with Connor in there in order to create some of these big play opportunities, to open up this offense? Something has to happen in order to because you're right. It's not that he didn't have time. But at the end of the day, whatever he was seeing wasn't good, right? He was making bad choices. And some of that, I think, is because of the defense and the way how they were sort of playing us at times.
Yeah, it's possible. The other, I'm not going to bash our wide receivers, but it's not like we have the best receiving staff in the SEC. I would say we're probably in the middle. That's trying to be nice. So do we have the people? I think Noah Thomas can get separation deep, but I don't know because we don't see it a whole lot. He got a couple steps there. I can't try to remember what quarter that was, and it's like, man, the guy, you got to hit that guy on that one. But
yeah, he missed a couple of open ones, right?
Yeah, yep. But overall, I don't know if Klein's trying to work with what he has. He doesn't think he can get separation deep. I don't know.
Look, I thought. Look, you mentioned Barber earlier. I thought he had his best game as an Aggie.
Oh yeah.
I think he's starting to really, catch his little piece of that offense, right? Noah Thomas has got to be a part of all of this. I'm going to tell you a guy that I am super impressed with all the time, and I think has to start getting a little bit more run. And that's,
can I guess?
Ja'Day Walker.
Oh, I was going to guess that.
Good job.
Yeah.
Jade, man, and you look at him and the physicality that he plays with when he's not getting the ball, the blocks, he's running his routes hard. Like sometimes you look over and Noah's kind of half-assing things. Not Jade, my friend. All day Walker is always going hard. And when they
Not
throw him
today,
the
says
football,
Jade.
huh?
Not today, says Jade.
That not today, says Jade. And when they throw the football in his direction, he's going after it, right? There is no question. I love his intensity and the way he plays this game. I think he needs to be a little bit more involved. I also think that on Saturday, not having Terry Bussey hurts you, right?
It did, but I think Barber stepped into that kind of role and did pretty good. And I think one advantage
Those two
of
guys are very
not
different,
being,
and those two guys are very different. Terry Bussey's such a phenomenal athlete, physical, big. Barber's smaller, a little bit more shake and
yeah,
bake.
yeah, but like they weren't expecting it. Bussey's out there like if you're the defense, you better know where he is, right? Barber kind of just snuck up on him. Like this kid's just running all over the place on him. I mean, he did phenomenal.
Yeah, no, he played great. And I will say this, right? I mean, it's not like Bussey's numbers have been through the roof, but you've seen him over the last few weeks kind of get better and better and a little bit more comfortable in that offense and those types
Yes.
of things. Like I was excited to continue to see that progression. Just continue to see that progression and his involvement even more. And I think he's got the opportunity to, if he gets back on the field this week, right? To start continue to show those things, right? And like you said, he's a guy that you have to pay attention to. He's a guy that you have to pay attention to because of his physical skills. And so, I think we missed him a little bit on Saturday.
Does Bussey back punt for 6 this year?
Does he what?
Does he run back a punt?
Ooh, boy, I could see it. I could see it.
I see it sometimes. I'm like, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Yeah. I mean, he's got that skill.
And listen, you can take away Connor's interceptions and potential interceptions, right? This offense still scored on 3 of its first 4 drives, 5 of its first 6. Right? So it's not like we're talking about, hey, they played so bad, whatever. We know that Mississippi State doesn't have the best defense. So there's some the other side of that. But at the same time, we may be nitpicking a little bit. But like you said, you turn the ball over like that against LSU, that's an L.
Yeah. Yeah. If you lose the turnover battle, good luck.
So let's flip the page.
And we've done really well with turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done really good about that.
Especially Marcel Reed.
Oh man, I know you love Marcel. You hate Connor, don't you?
I love Connor, man. I do
know.
love Connor. I always have, and I still do. I can love Connor while still loving Marcel for sure.
Yeah, it's like you got that one kid that you love more. You love.
Do we want to say which one of yours is the one? No. All right, so let's flip the page to LSU. I don't want to get you in trouble here. Look, LSU 6-1 with a loss to USC in the first game of the season. But here lately, I mean, they're on a pretty good roll. A win against South Carolina, a game they should have lost. If South Carolina doesn't lose their quarterback, they probably win that game. But then they go out and they beat Ole Miss. And this past week, they absolutely dominate Arkansas, who is coming off a win against Tennessee, right? I mean, absolutely dominate Arkansas. I think LSU seems to be getting better. They've lost Perkins at linebacker for the season. He's not playing. But I think maybe defensively they're using that to try to, share the wealth throughout. They're still not the best defense. Offensively, though, this team can go. They can absolutely go. This is going to be the toughest test for this Aggie defense all year, maybe even more than Texas.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you look just at the score, right? So they handled Arkansas handedly, and it took us a little bit with Arkansas, and you say their defense isn't that good. They've gotten better. I mean, I think there's a lot of similarities between A&M and LSU. and one is they've just gotten better.
Look, South Carolina scored 33 points on them, and South Carolina is a team that struggles offensively in general, right?
Yeah, I get that. But I think their defense has looked a lot better since then. And I I feel like whose defense have we faced that's better than LSU this year?
I mean, I think Arkansas is better than LSU's. I think potentially Missouri's is better than LSU.
Okay.
Notre Dame's is definitely better than LSU's. So there's a few of them. I think I don't know about Missouri. I still am not sold on those guys. They may not be very good.
I'm not sold on Notre Dame.
But Notre Dame and Arkansas, I think, are better defenses than LSU's. Look, LSU's got a group of players offensively that scare me. Nussmeier is
dude. LSU. You know how many rushing yards Arkansas got last week? I'm sure it's right in front of you.
No, I don't have the number directly in front of me. What is it?
38.
Yeah. Pretty good.
That's a pretty good defense, bro.
And to that point, because of the fact that they played them up tight because they weren't afraid of the Arkansas passing game, right? They just weren't. And they did, and they played. So you have to be able to create some space offensively to make plays and give that LSU defense make them struggle a little bit more. If you let them play up close to the line of scrimmage all day long, boy, oh boy, you're right. That's going to be a long day. And their offense, Nussmeier, who's averaging 317 yards a game, got 18 touchdowns this season. The dude is playing excellent football in his first year as the starter, taking over for a Heisman Trophy winner. You know, Caden Durham, the running back that's come in and sort of that running game was non-existent, at the beginning of the season, and he has made a difference for them in order to get them that running game on the board and make things easier on us. And their receiving core is always great. Kyron Lacey is a stud. That dude is a stud, right?
Yeah.
They've got weapons to beat you. They got two offensive tackles that are going to be NFL players. Their weakness may be the middle of the offensive line, in all honesty, which is fine with us because our guys inside are pretty darn good.
Right.
This is a matchup, man. They may be better offensively than Texas is. And this could be our toughest offensive test of the season, period. This defense has got to show up against LSU.
Yeah. I mean, they have dudes everywhere. We were talking about receiving core. I mean, they have the receiving core. Nussmeier he's the real deal. I mean, the guy is good. Rushing, obviously, you mentioned Durham. Their offense, I don't know. I'm not saying that they're the best in the SEC, but damn, they're up there. And if you told me that, I'd be up.
I think they're the best offense in the SEC.
I mean, I'd be up for that talk, right? We'd have to, kind of explore that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's
in the running with Texas and Ole Miss, right?
Yeah, for sure. You put Pavia on this team. I'm just kidding, but they're
Pavia,
good.
You won't hear any argument from me. Pavia's a stud, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a real test for our defense. I think when you talk about Ricks and Lee, I mean, they're gonna. It's time. Hopefully, Scort and Shamar are healthy, ready to go. We're gonna need them. We're gonna need depth. And this is gonna be a dogfight, man. I'm excited.
This is once again another situation in which you've got to come out and stop the run, right? You've got to force them to be one-dimensional, trying to throw the football, and then you can get into all your creative stuff that you like to do and all those types of things. But first things first, just play them and stop the run. Don't do anything crazy. Make sure you got that under control and let the rest of it sort of play itself out. I think it's an awesome matchup. What an incredible, their best against our best, right? And I think it's got to start with our defensive front, as it always does. I think Nick Scorton's going to have one of his best games of the season. I think he is ready for this game. I think being at Kyle Field and the way he's going to be coming off the freaking football on this deal, I am so excited to watch how that game progresses with him on the field, healthy, ready to roll. Turner, Stewart, Howell, those guys should all get a piece of this. The interior of this defensive line has got to come in and put pressure. They have to start it off. They have to have Nussmeier uncomfortable all day throughout the process. He's not that same kind of playmaker as the guy we saw last week, or even, a guy in the very first week of the season that's got some pretty good legs and things like that. This guy would rather be in the pocket, right? Nuss is a pocket guy. He wants to deliver the football, spread it out, get it out to his playmakers. This defensive line has to eat on Saturday.
Yeah, I to your point, like you got to get to him. You got to, because if you give him time back there, he will. It doesn't, if he's going to eat us alive, he's going to find. If you give him time to go through his progressions, it's just you're not going to cover him long enough for for him to get sacked if you're sitting there and you have a clean pocket. We have to keep them from having a clean pocket as much as possible.
And those receivers will eventually get open. Hell, they might get open early if you give them enough, if you give them time. And so, and on that note, you got to be able to do it with 4 because you got to have enough guys back there to cover, right? Yeah. You got to be able to bring pressure with your front 4 on this deal. With the occasional blitzes and different things and disguise stuff that Elka loves to do, but their base has to be 4 up front, controlling the line of scrimmage and letting your guys on the back end play.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
How about this Aggie offense against this LSU defense? What do you think needs to happen there for this Aggie offense to have success, to be able to score enough points in order to keep up in this game?
Well, one, obviously, we need to establish the run early. What I've seen in the past is like we established the run kind of second half, right? We need to wear them down with the run. That opens up the rest of our offense. I think we're gonna need a couple big plays. Honestly, I think this game's gonna go down to a couple big plays, and it's either gonna be us to make the big plays or them to make the big plays. And if it's not us, then we lose. I mean, we're going to need a couple plays. We're like, wow. Right? I mean, you're going to need some 30-yard breaks, some long bombs, something even short that's like massive yards after catch. You're going to need some big plays against this team to win.
Look, I think that second point you just made, I think that's it. I think that's it for me. You have to create big plays, and I think you have to create a big play early. You've got to get them over the top early to open up this defense, to open up the run game. I think a nice little double move at some point to be able to create a lot of space for one of these wide receivers, right? Something of that nature. Maybe even a trick play, a flea flick or something, right? Don't be afraid to break it out, right? This is the time.
This is the game that breaks them out.
Get into your playbook, execute something big. But even if it's a straight drop back pass or just a plain ass play action, right? I think early in the process, you've got to go try to hit something over the top and attack them vertically in order to open them up, right? If they get comfortable in bringing everybody in the box, having those safeties in the box, and all of a sudden really bogging down your run game, I think you make it harder and harder on Connor as the game goes on. Right. And so early on, big play, and specifically big play in the passing game. Right. I think that will eventually lead to a big play in the running game because I love Moss. I think he's a big time player. I love Daniels. I think he's a big time player. Those guys will find space if you're able to open that defense up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be interesting, man. I don't know. So you're talking about opening up with the pass. I'm thinking start with the run, get easy third down yardage first, right? Because if you look, we did okay in third down conversions against Mississippi State. It's because our third down conversions were like 3, right? And I think, if you start and you establish the run, then that opens up the pass. That would be mine. Yours is opposite of me, but
I think for this game, I think they do. They have to sort of, and that doesn't mean you don't run the football. I'm just early first series, kind of early on, just something big over the top, right? Something big over the top to scare them, put the fear into them, right? Let them know our receivers can go get it. And against Missouri, we did a little bit of that. We came out throwing the football a little bit against Missouri, and then it
yeah,
loosened everything up, right? I Something similar. I'd like to see it. We'll see what Colin Klein comes up with. We'll see how they come out and attack. We're at home. Let's take the game
and
to
we're at
them
home at night, baby.
at night, 6:30 primetime game, right? The entire country watching this event. This is what you play college football for. This is the biggest game of the season. You know, A&M, by the way, favored by 2.5, over under at 53.5. The 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 one thing I will say is that in this week's press conference, I thought there was a lot of talk about season goals and down the road. And listen, this ain't about down the road. This ain't about the season. All I care about today is this and today, right? This has to be the identity of this team, which it has been all year, is put your head down and go to work. And they've got to continue that. Don't do like Texas. Start reading all the news clippings about how good you are, where you stand. You're number one in the SEC. You've got 6 wins in a row. All these things that are being said out there, a chance to go to the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. Forget it. Forget it, forget it, forget it. Put your head down, go to work, show up, and just dominate.
Yeah, I mean, using those wins to build confidence is one thing. Using those wins to build to think you deserve something is another, right? I got a question for you. Colin Klein, has he been holding back and is just going to bring like a whole new set of plays this week? Does he have something in his back pocket?
He does have something in his back pocket. He's got a couple of things in his back pocket. However, you know, his identity is what it is, right? He's got a general identity, and that's still going to continue. But he does have a few things that he's got out there ready for this one, ready for Texas, really and truly, could be ready for South Carolina, right? I mean, they may need that play then, right? At the end of the day, or Auburn for that matter, right? And so, but he's got a couple of things that they've been working for several weeks now that really fit what LSU does defensively. That is something that and they might have even set it up a couple of times, by the way, throughout
Right.
earlier weeks, that they're going to come off of and now go put out in this game. I expect I expect you to see something you haven't seen this year.
Cool.
There's going to
Second
be
question.
something there.
Speaking of looking ahead, we beat LSU.
No. Hold on. A&M a 2.5 point favorite. Where are you going? What's the score in this game?
Oh, it's going to be close. I think we're going to see LSU at 24, A&M 28.
Ooh. And you're real close to that over under too. A little under, but real close. I like that score. I like that score. I like that score. I think it is a close game. I think this is going to be a battle into the fourth quarter. I think this is one of those games that, the Aggie defense ultimately makes a play to win this game. But, like I said just a minute ago, this is the biggest game of the season. And so the idea of looking forward, I don't have any. This is the biggest game of the season. And by the way, next week it'll be the biggest game of the season again.
No, next week. Nobody, they may be South Carolina may be the best three-loss season or three-loss team in the country.
This is why it's awesome to be relevant, right? Though
Yeah.
this is what football, college football is about. The fact that you've got an opportunity, that you got some excitement in the program. Whether they win or lose this week, this team is gonna continue to play on and have a chance for something at the end. Have a chance for something at the end. And that's what you love to see, a team that's gotten better and better throughout the season. The players continue to buy in and do the things that they've done. This is exciting for a guy that's a former football coach to see the progress that they make, the adjustments by the coaching staff, the different things that they're introducing and doing some things there. But the energy around that program right now is excellent. And everybody that talks out of that program in news conferences or whatever, the message is the same. It is one voice, one sort of idea. These cats are rolling, baby. And I love that about it. So I think we both got the Aggies winning, maybe not covering, maybe. Who knows? How about questions from the tailgate?
You didn't give me your prediction.
I said,
You didn't. You didn't tell me.
yeah. I'm going to go 24-20.
Who?
Flip a coin. Questions from the tailgate. Who are the players of the year for the Aggies so far this year? Start on defense.
Well, I mean, Gordon's the easy answer, but
Gordon's the easy answer. It's the only answer.
yeah, no. How probably I don't know. Scooby or How?
Unexpected, maybe surprise player of the year kind of thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Scooby or How played really well.
Yeah,
I think
Gordon's 100% the answer. He's the only answer to the question. But you're right. I mean, there's other guys that you need to sort of throw the names out there. Scooby's gotten better and better. As we said, he just played his best game. I think Lee's another guy that we have to mention. I think he's our best guy in the secondary. He's played the best all season long in that secondary. So, he's a guy that you want to mention. But the only answer to that question is Nick Scorton, the Bryan native, one of your boys from downtown. You know how that goes. Mm-hmm. Offensively, who you got?
I mean, it's got to be Moss. I'm trying to think of, dude, I'm liking what I've seen from Barber.
Yeah, look, Le'Veon Moss is probably the right answer, and he's definitely the easy answer. And I think if you were to, ask 1,000 people, he'd be the favorite. I'm gonna go Trey Zune.
Oh yeah, Trey Zune, line guy going with the offensive lineman. I like it.
Yeah, because they don't ever get the credit that they deserve. They get too much of the blame when they get the blame. Let's give Trey Zune a little props here, man, because I think the dude's had a phenomenal year.
Hey man, I'll tell you what, Elko names that kid almost every press conference.
Yeah.
He's been giving him a lot of love.
A lot of love. And he's gonna be a guy that ends up going to the next level and has moved himself up that draft board significantly. Hopefully he ain't going anywhere this year. What teams had the hardest test? Let's start with which teams have the hardest test this season so far between LSU and A&M. Who's had the toughest schedule so far?
LSU for sure. LSU's been tested, which worries me a little bit.
Yeah, look, if you compare Notre Dame, USC, I don't know. I may give the edge to Notre Dame. They'll play this year, by the way. We'll find out. It doesn't really matter. But they're around there. I think the difference is who LSU's played in the SEC so far. We talked about South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Arkansas. Those are three tough teams. I don't believe in Missouri, right? I'm not a big Florida guy.
At the beginning of the year, you probably think they would come in here with about the same quality of wins, but I think LSU's got better quality wins right now.
How about in the country? How about throughout the country? Who's the best that has had success against the test, by the way, not just been tested, but actually had some success? Who is it? Who's had the best run so far this year?
Man, that's tough. Oregon's done pretty decent. I'll tell you what. And I know they have a loss, but Georgia.
Yeah. Look, yeah, I mean, they just went and beat Texas, right? They played Alabama. They faced, a South Carolina team that showed some things. They've had some challenges. They beat the mess out of Clemson in week 1, who Clemson since then has beat the mess out of everybody else.
Yeah.
I think it's probably Georgia, but you got to give Oregon some credit because they beat Ohio State.
Right.
And, everybody had Ohio State, and, top of the top, going into that game.
Hey,
So
Oregon. Who's Oregon play this week?
Huh?
Who's Oregon play this week?
If you wouldn't have asked me, I could have told you, but I can't remember.
Is it Illinois?
It could be. It could be. But both those teams obviously have done a great job. Honestly, this whole year in college football has been amazing.
No, it's probably Texas. Texas had the hardest schedule.
Really, really awesome year in college football. I'm just going to ignore that comment and just go right here. So, any last words before Saturday, baby?
Hey, man, gig 'em, night game. Let's go. Let's be dogs out there.
Yeah, show up, Ags. I know you will. I'm excited for the game. Night game at Kyle Field against probably our rival from the last 6-7 years since we've shown up, in LSU, back and forth. I'm so excited for this game, and I think you're going to get
7 overtimes.
You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot about both of these teams on Saturday. Gig 'em. Until next time.